Today I'm going to be showing you how you can efficiently set up automation here in SoulMask through all of your Tribesmen. Many people like myself found this particularly difficult towards the start of the game when you first start playing. It's not that necessarily straightforward until you learn a few tips and tricks which will really help out with this. I'm going to go through what you can do to start off with this, and also once you progress to this early game section of SoulMask, where you start to get some automation features like the granary for your farms as well. If you do find a video useful, please do drop me a like and a subscribe down below, and let's jump straight into it. So first things first, the I menu here, the clan menu. Firstly, what this allows you to do is see the amount of current clan members you have, what they're all doing, what their different traits are, and of course see your maximum in the top left here. So currently I have 13 available. You can increase the number of clansmen that you are allowed through the connection enhancement skill tree node on your mask. Every single mask does have this available. Obviously you can get this up to a maximum of plus 15, so a total of 18 tribesmen once you reach awareness strength level 25 and you have the correct amount of green crystals. So obviously you can see I would need 15 if I want to go ahead and increase that one right now. Now whilst we're looking at the mask skill tree, it's important to note that you can get a perk called quality assessment. What this does is allows you to hold Q to detect and assess different things. Now initially this doesn't seem like it is too good, but a pretty non-obvious way of doing this is if you hold Q and look over them, you'll see here we've got Farmer Joe. You can see their initial stats. You can see strength, agility, physique, endurance and perception. But what you can also see is next to Farmer Joe's name, he's currently got an empty grey triangle, and his level also tells you there that he's a novice hunter. Now what you can do if you go out into the wild is check on these before you actually want to bring them back to your base. So I'm going to run over to some of the wild barbarians now to show you how this works in action. So as you can see, these outcasts right here, if we hold Q and zoom in on them, we can see that they have little diamonds next to their name, and this one is red right here, so you can see that they are a master hunter. This is really, really good. If you see a gold or a red, they're going to be great to have at your base. This one is just a grey diamond, just greyed out, and the same with this one, novice guard, and this guy is a novice hunter. So both of those ones, not really what you want. But if you see either a gold or a red like this one right here, and it says master or expert, anything like that, that is going to be really good, as it's going to mean that the stats or the proficiency maximums that they have is going to be much higher in certain things. So obviously a hunter, you're looking at weapons. If you get a crafter, you'll get armor crafting ones, weapon crafting ones, or general craftsmen's. Things like level working and all that kind of good stuff as well, if you're looking for those gold and red ones. So when you are trying to recruit new tribesmen in order to maximize on your automation, make sure you're going for the gold and red diamond symbols next to their names. So once you've actually recruited yourself some tribesmen, what do you want to look out for? Well, firstly, you can go into the menu that I showed you earlier, the clan menu, and you can see if any of them have any specific traits that are going to be good for combat or for crafting. So you can see here the one that I've named guard/warrior. We can see that we've got tribe, so that's power of the crit, which is a claw tribe plus 8% crit permanently. Also there you've got the origin of guard, which gives the proficiency growth rate for great sword blade, spear, shield and bow plus 50%. So these are what you'd call positive traits, and then you also have some negative traits here. So you can see proficiency growth rate for logging, mining, planting and harvesting is minus 25%. So you want to make sure before you set them off on a task that it's going to be something they are good at. And on top of that, you can click this button here, which is the second one in next to the bag, which says go to proficiency, and this will actually open up all of the available skills and what their maximum level is. Now you'll notice that at 30, 60, 90 and 120 respectively, you actually get an upgrade or a node or a talent or whatever you want to call it for the threshold when it's reached. So you can see once you get to 30 here, we've got login output plus 5, then at 60 you can get another plus 6, at 90 a plus 7, and at 120 a plus 8, or you can go for speed, you can go for tool durability cost, or you can go for stamina cost. Now these are of course the gathering ones. You can do similar stuff for crafting, notably in armor crafting and weapon crafting. You can see here that the production speed, the durability limit, or the linen or leather gear quality upgrade. The second tier, if you get this up to 60, you can see that bronze gear quality goes up, then at 90 it is iron, and at 120 it is steel. So what do you need to do? Well, early game you want to look for some tribesmen with at least the 60 stat, as you can see that is kind of the leather and linen, and then up to the bronze quality. That should set you up to around around about level 25 or 30 awareness, with them being able to craft stuff particularly well. If you manage to get someone higher with a stat of 90 or above, or even 120 or above if you get very lucky, obviously keep these, and what I like to do is give them a name of what their job is going to be. So although we've got an armor crafting 100 here, we've got someone with a slightly better armor crafting than that. But this character also has 120 on the shield, as well as 116 on the spear and 100 on the blade, and gets faster XP for those weapons because of the guard origin, so I've put them as a guard. And then you can also see there that I've put 120 shield, so you can set a status for them. So you can put the name, and then you can put a status, and that will appear as well alongside it, so you can make notes on your characters. Alright, so once you've determined what you want them to do, and you've given them a name, or whatever you want to do with that, you can firstly set them off on a collect resource mission. Now, the first and easiest way to do this is click on Wild Collection, set it to your bonfire location, so mine is called Jungle King, so you set that, and then you set them up with either mining, logging, or harvesting. In order for them to be able to fulfill this job, you will need to give them the sufficient tool, so they will then go ahead and gather that specific type of resources. So mining, they're going to get stone and rock. If you set them on harvesting, they're going to get fibers, they're going to get vines, all that kind of stuff, thatch, etc. And then if you set them off on chopping trees or logging, they're obviously going to get hardwood, regular wood, branches, tree bark, all of that good stuff. And what they will then do is you can set them into unlimited, which is nearby storage boxes. If you set the type of the storage box to whatever you want them to be when you're organizing them, the NPCs will automatically put the materials that they gather in the relevant box. And you can also set a quantity if you want to set a maximum there, but unlimited is the default. Now, I've also got this character managing the furnace crafting table, and this is because they've got a decently high kiln level. You can see they're 74 out of 75 right now, which is one of the higher ones that I have for kiln, and they can then go ahead and craft in there once they are not working. So that will set you off on a nice steady start where you've got some people gathering stuff, and then you can put them onto the crafting tables. Now, if you don't want to do it through the crafting table autoplay command, you can actually go to any table and hold the P button, where it will then give you the option of all of your tribesmen and of course all of your allies tribesmen. So if you're playing with friends and you've got more of you in your tribe, it will be all of their tribesmen as well that you're able to assign to workbenches. And so you can see here, you can hold down on any of these names and assign them to the workbench. Now, something that's really important when you do set them off initially with automation is making sure that you have enough tools. And what I like to do for this is go ahead and craft an item. So let's add maybe a knife to this list right here. So what you can go ahead and do is press D to add it to the planned craft, and then put it into a circulation craft. What a circulating queue will do is craft this every specific time that you set. So right now you can see the default is 30 minutes to craft one item, and this is a pretty good starting point for whichever tier of the game you're at until you get to around the iron level, because the durability is much lower on the bronze and below tools. So once every 30 minutes, depending how many tribesmen you've got doing each task, you maybe want this a little bit faster or a little bit slower. And essentially what they'll then do is come over and craft these every time. You can see 31 here, and then we've got 30 on this one. We can have them crafting pickaxes, and we can have them crafting bone axes. And what they'll then do is run over to my tools chest, place them in here, and as you can see, here are all these spare tools we currently have. The NPCs, once they break them, if you set them to do so, will drop the tool and then come and pick up a new one. To do this, when they are on the collect resources tab, you can click this little option here that says automatically discard collecting tools with no durability. That means that they will then go and pick up a fresh tool every time that they need to go and do some work for that gathering, and it will also mean that they don't run around not doing anything for a while if their tool is out of durability. Now, you might be asking why you would want to just get a fresh one rather than repairing. Well, firstly, it makes it way more automatic. You don't have to sit there and manually think about repairing stuff. But also, if we just take a look at these bronze spears, this green one here is a fresh crafted one, and you can see that the durability is 2472 out of 2472. Now, what you can see here on this blue spear, albeit this one is damaged, but you can see that the maximum durability is only 1125. Now that is because currently in the game, and whether this is a bug or just a feature of the game, I'm not too sure, it is something that you can turn down in your settings though if you have your own server or you're playing solo or co-op, is the durability drain rate. But every time you repair an item, it does lose some maximum durability. So what that means is the more times you repair something, the less total durability it will have. Again, like I said, this can actually be tuned down in the settings if you're on a private server or your own solo game. But generally speaking, you want to then only repair something a couple of times before discarding it. And if you make sure that your gatherers of your tribesmen are on the tier just below what you're at, so right now I'm at bronze and I've got them crafting bone axes and pickaxes. That will mean that they can continuously just craft those with the resources that you're no longer using and continually maintain that automation. It's also a good idea to pop a dining table down and keep this stocked up with food. This is what they are going to be using to eat and also grab drinks from. They will get them from the chests if you don't have this down, but this just makes it a little bit easier to maintain. Also, you want to make sure that you've got seats, like I have here, or mats around your bonfire. Either of those will suffice and will give the tribesmen somewhere to rest once they are having a work break. Now, if you notice on some of these crafting tables, if you've got something in here and in the queue and they're not doing it, it's probably because you do not have the materials either in the current storage, so the tanning rack inventory, for example, if you're at the tanning rack, or in your storage chest in your base for them to access. So that means that they can't craft whatever you've asked them to craft, and in which case they won't do it. Another thing to be aware of with this is once you start to upgrade, like you can see here, my weapon crafting bench part 1 has been added to allow me to craft bronze stuff. If this is not enabled with fuel, sometimes if you click disable here, for example, and then you try to craft something or repair something, it will tell you that you need to use it at an unlocked crafting station. So remember to just enable your fuel usage in order to be able to craft at these. Now, it's worth noting at this point that you actually can't progress with too much more automation until you get to around this premium planting level, which requires 25 awareness strength, and that will unlock you the granary. Now, the granary will mean that you can get a tribesman to automatically manage the surrounding farmlands with seed, fertilizer, water, and harvest, and this is very, very useful. I'm going to show you this in a second. You can also then upgrade to premium breeding, which allows a breeding farm to be placed down, which means that a tribesman will automatically manage the surrounding animal pens for feed, water, collect, and slaughter, again making this whole level of optimization of automation go up even further. Now, you'll see here as well on this bronze pit bonfire level of the game, the advancement of bronze section, you can also get logging yards, excavation pits, and collection yards. Now, what these will do is it tells you on them, it'll gather bush in the surrounding area on the collection yards, mine ores in the surrounding area on the excavation pit, and of course automatically chop trees in the surrounding area of the logging yard. What this means is you can use these as kind of like outposts. It will give them somewhere to bring the resources back to, and then you can also assign tribesmen to bring resources from these yards or pits back to the base into the chests. So once you've got somebody on the automation stuff out here with the farms, for example, what they will do is grow the crops, automatically fertilize them so that they will grow whichever fertilization they require, and then they will harvest them when they are ripe. What I've also done with my farmer is pop them onto the auto crafting on the fertilizer bucket here and keeping them constantly going with compost, ash fertilizer, bone powder fertilizer, and obviously as I progress into the game and get plants that require these further ones, those also as well. Now, ideally, I'm going to get a second tribesman once I get an upgrade to be able to manage this stuff as well. But I've got 6 plots on the go, 2 down the floor here and 4 on this platform, and that seems to be fairly manageable for this one NPC right now. But if I do want to expand, like I said, I would probably recommend getting some more people. As you'll see, what they do here is put all of the stuff they gather, so the thatch, the seeds, the fibres, and of course all of the produce as well as fertilizer, into the granary. So you do need to just check back if there's stuff that you're particularly wanting to get out of this. You'll have to check back from time to time to be able to collect it yourself, but that can be really useful so you don't have to manage this, and it'll just automatically be sorted over time. Again, if you're not playing on a private server, I actually have boosted the crop growth speed because I found it to be quite slow. Obviously, I'm playing this solo. The original design is for a multiplayer, constantly online world where these will grow all the time. If you are playing solo, I would highly recommend boosting the crop speed as well, the growth speed, so that when you're online, they actually do grow faster. But this is going to be crucially important. Now, another thing that you can get fairly early on, actually, in the bonfire stage of the game, or dawn of the new tribe one, is on the medium building tab. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of this one here, you'll see guard facility. First glance, again, if you're playing solo or on a co-op server, this doesn't seem too useful, but there is a really, really useful thing here, which is called patrol route checkpoint. Now, what this does is allow you to place these patrol route checkpoints on the floor, and then assign one of your tribespeople to guard it. So you can see the guard warrior one that we looked at earlier. They just walk between this post and this other post currently, which I placed down here, because basically wild boars and sometimes a jaguar spawn out in this section of my base. So this just protects the farms and the rest of the tribe from this. You can set multiple tribesmen to be guards, or you can set them in different places using these markers, but this is particularly useful for making sure that your base does not get attacked. And if you're on PvP, you can also do this as well, and you can set up a perimeter of guards if you want to, but do bear in mind people can come and then kill your guards if they're not within the walls of your base. The way to find out your guard information is by pressing J and going to the tribe members area. You can see here, and then what you want to do is go down to tribe defense on the right hand side. We have a little look at this, and you can see I've got the route name as Farm Defense, and it shows you the 2 patrol route checkpoints that I have and what the route is, which is the blue line going between them. You can see they should go backwards and forwards between those 2 checkpoints. You can add extra ones in, you can also add different areas, and they will just make sure to keep the area that they've done safe from wildlife. You can see here that they will launch attacks on barbarians, actively attack animals, and attack enemies. You can set all of this up so you can choose whether or not they should be doing that. And you can also see your current fever here, which is something not a lot of people have experienced yet, but essentially it looks like some sort of raid feature. So eventually, if you build up enough fever, you are going to be attacked by NPCs. Again, I haven't actually had this happen to me yet, but I'm assuming that's what this accumulation is going to be, so that in the later game you could potentially get attacked a bit more by the NPCs as well. It is also worth knowing, just quickly to finish off the video then, in this clan screen you can currently see what jobs the NPCs are doing, as well as if you hover over them, you can see their talents, their proficiency in each thing, as well as their maximum proficiency in each thing if you just hover over where the job section of their menu is. And if you do lose one, for example here where it says patrolling, if you can't find them, you can mark them, which will show them on the map for you as well, so that you can find them much easier if you want to reassign their job or update their equipment. Another quick thing here, if you do want to uplift the mood of your tribesmen, I know some people have been asking about this in different videos, and I'm going to cover it in a little bit more depth in the future, but just as a quick closing point here, you can actually use juice. This will uplift mood. This can be obtained fairly easily if you've got some monkeys helping you out gathering those exotic fruits, and you can do this from fairly early on, as all you need to do is make cups, have some water, and then you can use wild fruit, which you get from just harvesting with a scythe. It's also worth noting that you will get things like fruit wine as drops once you start to hit the late early game, and this says in brackets at the beginning of it, recreational, and it will give you some bonuses, so damage bonuses there as well, but it also uplifts the mood, which is nice. If you do want to use this, you can. Obviously as well, you've got hot cocoa, but you do need cocoa powder and chili in order to be able to get this, so this is a more mid-game to late game sort of thing. And it's also worth noting that fruit kebabs as a food will uplift mood as well, which just require fresh meat, bananas and pineapples, so definitely get the monkeys going as soon as you can so they can gather this fruit for you, as these things are going to help to keep your tribesmen happy whilst they are doing the jobs that you've just set them off on with the automation. So hopefully you found this video useful and helpful. If you have, please do leave me a like and subscribe down below. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and if you have got any tips and tricks for automation that you think I missed out here on the basics and beginnings of automation here in SoulMask, do let me know down below in the comments. I'm sure there's lots more for us all to learn about this, and I'll make some updated videos once I get further into the game with extra features if and when I find them as well. Other than that, I'll catch you again very shortly on a brand new upload, so take care and peace.